Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is A Little Deeper with Lorene. On this channel, we go a little deeper around trending topics or any societal conversations that are taking place. We take a deeper look and unpack the discourse a little bit more, just to ensure that we are not getting stuck in the detail, but taking that step back to fully contextualize, looking at things with wider frames. So if that's your thing, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to having incredible conversations with you all. So today I'd like to talk about this idea of being seen and the cost of invisibility. And this came to me as I was preparing to set up this channel, and really grappling with the idea of, do I really want to be seen? Do I really want to put myself out there? And I was kind of going back and forth with it. But recently I came across some content that really put things in perspective for me. The first video was by Toni. Toni is an author. She is an online influencer and she does many things. And I've not followed her for very long, so I'm not super in tune with what she does, but she's an incredible woman. And I recently started following her. I enjoy her content. And Toni had made a video about her relationship. She recently got married, and she mentioned how it was actually Instagram that facilitated that relationship. Her now husband, saw her post. He started following her. He enjoyed her content. And over time, they, of course, started talking, got to know each other. And eventually, fast forward a few years, they've just gotten married. And she said it would not have been possible if she was not visible on that platform. If he had not seen her post, if he had not, liked what he saw and actually engaged with it, she probably wouldn't have met this man. And I thought that was so incredible, how this platform literally changed the trajectory of her life. Because let's face it, the person you marry will determine what the rest of your life will look like. So her life would have looked very different if she had not met this particular man, right? And she would not have met this particular man if she was not visible on Instagram and online. So I thought that was such an incredible story and such a great reminder for people who are really hesitating with being online and being seen online, that there are benefits to it. The other post came from another creator that I truly respect and admire, which is Aina. And Aina is a Nigerian travel content creator. He has toured the continent and the world, and he made a video recently about how he actually did a throwback where he showed his very first video that he posted on YouTube and how bad it was. He was just like, I didn't even know how to use my camera. I didn't know where to look. I didn't have screen presence. It was just bad, right? But he kept posting and he kept uploading and he kept refining his craft and growing in the space until now, where he has actually been able to purchase citizenship in St. Kitts, which really facilitates his travel, because traveling with a Nigerian passport, I'm not sure how many of you know this, really is, but it really is quite a tough experience. So his life has changed simply by putting out a few videos on YouTube many years ago, and then consistently over the years refining that craft and growing and building that platform. So two stories that show how life-changing it can be when you put yourself out there, when you grow in the space. And so I was really inspired by this, and I thought, I want to see what's out there for me if I were to just put myself out there. But I do understand that it's not for everyone. And so this video is in no shape or form telling you to go out there and be a content creator. I don't think everyone needs to be a content creator. I think this is more so if you have felt the conviction to actually be more visible, to put yourself out there. But I also want to highlight that this goes beyond social media, right? And I'll touch on that a little bit more. Visibility generally will always do you heaps of good, whether online or offline. So we'll explore that in a bit. So I want to talk about why we're so scared of being seen. And I think that there are three very human reasons for this. The first is the spotlight illusion. And so the spotlight illusion really says that we overestimate how much other people think about us on a day-to-day, we overestimate how important we are in other people's lives. And so I think we're constantly walking with this fear of, oh, what would this person think? What if they see me do this? What if they see me do that? And we are so fixated on the idea that everyone is thinking about us. Meanwhile, no one's really thinking about you like that. And I came to this realization a few years ago, and it has been one of the most freeing things ever, just to realize that people don't really care that much. It sounds terrible, but people are not that bothered with your day-to-day, not the way that you are. And so yes, when you come up into someone's viewpoint or vantage point, they will see you, they'll acknowledge you if you did something good, that'll be acknowledged. If you did something bad or something silly, they'll comment on that, they'll give their opinion, but then they will move on. They're probably not going to think about it again, okay? But in our minds, we think that, oh, this person's going to think about this thing that I did all day, or this embarrassing moment that I had. Everyone who saw me is thinking about it all day. Trust me, the minute you are out of their viewpoint, you are out of their minds. But it is a very valid fear that we have. The second is, I suppose it's quite tied to the first, about the spotlight illusion, thinking that everyone is kind of thinking about you and you're the spotlight in people's minds and lives. And then the second one is the fear of negative evaluation. Like I said, it is tied to the first, because if you're thinking that someone's constantly thinking about you, you're also worried about what they're thinking about you, right? And oftentimes our minds will instantly go to the negative. So often we're thinking, oh, what if they don't like me? What if they judge me? What if, they remember the stupid thing that I did, or the stupid thing that I said, or how I stuttered in that meeting. So we are so scared of this negative evaluation that we would rather just avoid being evaluated in the first place. And then the third one is the imposter feelings, right? I think many of us can relate to feeling like an imposter in certain spaces that we might be in, whether it is in your professional space. You might go in and, find yourself hiding in the corner or not wanting to really be seen because you don't feel like you belong in that space, or you don't feel that you are good enough to be there. So the imposter syndrome really holds us back, because again, we're all in our heads. And if you look at all of these 3 points, it's just us being in our heads about things that are not often true. So we need to try to break through that, because I think there is something very powerful on the other side of that, right? There's something powerful about visibility. And so remember earlier I mentioned that it's not just about social media, although the examples that I gave, I understand that they were social media related, but I think visibility in any aspect of your life can only do you good. So let's explore. So why does visibility work, or why is it so helpful for us? I think the first thing is that familiarity breeds liking. So oftentimes, the more we see something, the more exposure you've had to something, the more of a likeness you build to it. Okay, and this is why, if you think about advertising, when we consistently see the same thing, we develop a liking, almost an unconscious liking to this thing, or an unconscious bias towards, or we're just drawn to it somehow. You walk into a store and somehow you're just drawn to the Coca-Cola, right? Whereas there are tons of other soda options. You go to the Coca-Cola because this is the one that you've always been seeing, right? You see it on billboards, you're seeing it on ads, you see it on your day-to-day. So the mere exposure to something actually builds your preference for that thing. And so when you are putting yourself out there in whichever medium, the more people in that space, in that environment are seeing you, the more they grow fondness to you. They look forward to seeing you on their feed, or if it's at work, the more that you are present and visible, the more people take a liking to you. They build an interest towards you. They want to get to know what you're all about, because they see you showing up and you're always showing up consistently. So that's the first thing. The second reason why visibility is so important is that it brings about opportunities. Okay, so again, if we're looking at the first point, people are constantly seeing you, they grow a liking towards you. Secondly, that liking will often translate into opportunities. Not always, but sometimes they can translate into opportunities, because, and I want to take the workplace as an example. If, let's say you're a hybrid worker, you go in 3 out of 5 days of the week, you go into the office, your manager goes in every single day, and the rest of the team would come in maybe once or twice. The person who comes in 3 times a week is often seeing, so your manager is instantly taking a liking to you because they're seeing you more often, you're having conversations with them. And when opportunities come, you're often going to be the first person on their minds, because they're so used to seeing you, right? You're top of mind because you're top of sight. So I think that that's important to understand. And oftentimes opportunities, I think it's really interesting to see that opportunities also often comes through weaker ties. So sometimes we think that our friends and our family and the people close to us are where our opportunities are going to come from. That is rarely the case. Oftentimes the case is that your opportunities will come from your more weaker ties. So the people, they don't know you that well, but they see you enough and they kind of know vaguely something about you, and they would then put you forward. I think it also speaks to this thing about when you start a business, oftentimes your friends and your family, they'll support you, they'll be there for you. It is often maybe that ex-colleague or that ex-manager or that neighbor from across the road that sees you but doesn't fully know you, who would bring opportunities to you. And I can attest to this very, very strongly, because I've had so many opportunities just come through former colleagues. They see me constantly online and not doing anything, not even as a content creator, just I post on LinkedIn sometimes, or I'm active in some of the professional groups. And so when an opportunity comes for freelancing or some contract work, I'm often getting, a text or an email to say, hey, are you available? I saw this. I think you would be great. So there's also something about the more visible you are, especially to a wider audience that may not necessarily be a part of your day-to-day life, the more opportunities you're setting yourself up for. So another aspect is in terms of dating, right? I am an introvert, and I've seen this meme going around a lot about introverts kind of just waiting at home for their partner to find them. And it's not gonna happen, guys. It's not gonna happen. You need to be out there. And what happens when we say you need to be out there, we're saying you need to be out there to see what's out there, but also so that what's out there can see you. They're not gonna see you when you're in your room, right? They need to see you out there, go out, go to events, go to social settings where there will be people, go to places where you would like to meet people, right? And those people see you, those people approach you, and that is oftentimes the beginning of some very beautiful love stories. So even in dating, you need to be visible. Just like with Toni, she was visible online, and that is how her partner found her. You need to be visible as well. So it can be online, which I think a lot of people now are meeting their partners online, but it can also be offline in the real world, right? Just going out to events. I am a huge advocate for being outside, okay? Not doing anything crazy, just be outside. There's so much to see, so much to learn outside, so many amazing people to meet outside. So I think we can see very clearly some of the benefits of being visible. We talked about the professional aspect. Online visibility, I don't think I even need to talk about that. It's very clear to see people have become millionaires, billionaires just off of online visibility, whether it be in content creation or otherwise. We've talked about it in dating. You need to be out there. People need to see you. You need to see people. And that is how you build not just romantic relationships, but even platonic relationship, mentorship relationships. You do need to be out there. So I think in closing, I just want to highlight that being visible, it's really about being legible to the people that you want to see you, okay? To the opportunities that may change your life, right? So I will encourage you to choose to be visible. And this doesn't mean go out there and be a content creator. And this doesn't mean be ostentatious and be the life of the party or be the loudest in the room. This just means show up consistently in whichever medium, in whichever context. Show up, let people see you, get to know people, let people get to know you. You never know how that can change your life, how it can change your career, how it can change your romantic prospects if you are looking. So be out there. Don't be scared of being visible, because I think there's a greater cost to invisibility than there is to visibility and being vulnerable by putting yourself out there. So I'm curious to hear from you. What has visibility done for you? How has being visible changed your life? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your comments. And yeah, let's share and inspire one another, because sometimes someone just needs a little push and to know that it's okay to do this thing. It's okay to step out of our comfort zones, to make ourselves be heard, to make ourselves be seen, and that there are great things on the other side of invisibility. Thank you for watching.